Recently, we are looking at, and I laugh because it really is sad, the situation between Joe Rogan about the fact that Joe Rogan on Spotify had a video or two videos of two interviews with people that were very anti-vaccine, very, very qualified people. I saw those interviews. I didn't agree with what they say, but at the end of the day, I really don't have the medical authority to say, hey, you're completely wrong. Simply, I disagreed based upon my belief of what I feel about vaccines and other doctors that I have listened to and what their position is. And then just on my life. I was vaccinated in Cuba many times, came to the United States. Those were not good enough here. So I had to take a whole bunch of new vaccines. And life has gone on. And I'm 65, 55 years after all those vaccines. So, and I have taken this vaccine and the booster because I just what I feel that is good for me and for my family also. Now, the thing is, I have a very good friend that does not agree with that. And still, we have heated debate about it, but he's my best friend. I love him. And that doesn't stop what I believe about him because my belief and my judgment of that person to be my good friend and actually my best friend is not based upon whether he is a vaxxer or anti-vaxxer or any of that stuff. It's basically, I consider him a great friend because he's been there with me through a thick and thin, through many, many years. He is a man of utmost integrity. He is a good man and a person that I respect dearly. So am I going to give that up over the fact that he believes one way or the other? No. But going back to Spotify, it's really, really sad that gave Spotify an ultimatum. Either take us out, take Joe Rogan out of your platform or take us out. Joe Rogan happens to be the biggest podcaster in the world. And I'm sure that he generates a lot more money than either of the two. But should it be that type of a choice? Should we not be able to have dialogue? Should not go to Spotify and say, hey, I want to talk to Joe Rogan because I don't agree with those podcasts. Now, I don't know what Joe Rogan's intention was. I don't know what his heart is. I don't know what he thinks. Like, nobody knows what I think or what my heart is, right? I am me. He is he. So all I can do is take him at his word. So he gets in there today and gives an apology. And he says, look, it's none of my intention to spread any of that. My only purpose in doing a show is to show different opinions. And because I happen to agree with one of those opinions, I'm not insulting the rest of the people. And it was very, very evident because he was extremely respectful to Sanjay Gupta, who is of the total opposite opinion as those two doctors in the podcast. Now, Spotify came up with what I believe is a responsible solution. Listen, whenever there's something this controversial, I'm simply going to write a disclaimer. And Joe Rogan was perfectly happy with that. And Joe Rogan apologized. But you know what? I have a feeling it doesn't mean anything, unfortunately, for those people, because we're so dug in right now. On both sides of the camp. Not one side is better than the other one. We're so dug in that you're going to agree with me and you're my friend. You disagree with me, you're my enemy. It is no longer that you disagree with me and I respect you because you have a difference of opinion. No, you disagree with me, you're my outright enemy and I don't want nothing else to do with you. How the hell have we gotten to this point? I lost a good friend of mine because I don't agree with Trump's policies. And we had known each other for a lot of years and I love this guy dearly. And we had, great times together. And I helped him go through very difficult times. I have tried to do everything I can to help him on a personal situation that has afflicted him or his family for many, many years. But yet, the day he called me up and called me a communist because I believe that everyone that works 40 hours deserves a dignified wage. I believe that every American deserves to have health care. I believe that young men and women should not graduate with college with a freaking mortgage and not ever be able to have a home because I agree with that. Makes me a communist? Really? I'm the most capitalist person in the world. If anyone hates communism, I do because I was 10 years old when I was removed from my country. And we were very wealthy in my country. And all of a sudden I saw my dad clean toilets for a living and it hurt me To see my dad, I was only 10 years old. To see my dad at the age of 40 have to clean toilets for 85 cents an hour, a man who was very respectable back in Cuba. You think I like communism? That my mom dropped us at the airport and they left her behind? You think I like communism? That for a long time, all I had was 2 raw eggs and a dirty powdered milk that never ever mixed. It's like sand water for breakfast to last us through dinner when we would have rice and beans. No, I'm a capitalist at heart. I believe that I believe the precepts of communism, what Karl Marx dreamed of a equal society. Yeah, it's wonderful. But the problem is that why should someone want to bust their rear end and someone not, and they both get compensated equally? I don't believe in that. I believe that communism destroys the social fiber of society, and it destroys innovation. It destroys the ability for those that really want to get ahead, because it doesn't make any difference. And of course, we look throughout all communist regimes and we realize that they're a failed society. So I'm not by no means a communist. But I do believe that we live in a world where there's so much disparity in wealth, where so few people have all the money and so many are hurting. In a time and place in history that middle class who built this amazing country has disappeared. And that some people do need help, but many don't. So yeah, I believe in Social Security. I believe that when you reach a certain age and you work hard all your life and you have really paid into a system, that you should have something. Well, Social Security now doesn't even add up to rent. So it's very, very sad. But again, going back to our topic, the excuse or the reason or the apology that Joe Rogan gave, to me, was classy. I have more respect for him now than I had before. And I follow him. And I listen to his podcast. And I admire. And I believe in what he does. Because what he does is, he simply, like he said, I don't script anything out. He didn't plan. He didn't even realize that his podcast was going to become enormous. He simply wanted to go out there and have a conversation. And talk to interesting people. And present different viewpoints. And that is a healthy society. But a society where you cannot represent equal viewpoints, it is a society that is sick. Because today is the anti-vaxxers are the enemy of the vaxxers, and the vaccine is a dividing point, and Trump was a dividing point, and on and on. And tax is a dividing point, and wealth is a dividing point. The world I grew up in, we could have heated debates. We used to. I remember being at the University of Miami and at night during breaks, have heated debates with friends of mine. I went to college in the 70s when Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto were very, very popular. And coming from a country in Latin America where the reason that Fidel Castro takes over is because the disparity was so enormous, where some people enjoyed enormous wealth and others were barely able to eat. Then, of course, all you need is someone with a sharp tongue and someone that can mesmerize a crowd and dynamic, and they're going to follow. They're going to follow him. So, it's very sad. So we used to have heated debates about that. And I used to argue, well, perhaps communism is the way to go. Of course, I was joking because I just wanted to be controversial with those American friends of mine that had never ever experienced that. Not knowing that I had personally experienced communism, and I thought it was a horrific, failed society and system. But I can see how it can rise. I can see how it can come. And I can see why a Chavez or any of Fidel all of a sudden comes in and takes over. Because of the disparity of capital. How the rich treat the poor. Very, very easy. So going back to Joe Rogan, what worries me is not me. I'm 65. I got less than more. But it does worry me, what world are our children coming into? What world will my grandchildren live into? Will differences of opinion dissipate? Will opinions really be dictated by the majority? And otherwise, will it get to a point where you express some opinion and you're liable to go to prison because it's against what the majority believes? Will we become independent society or independent thinkers, or we just going to follow and be just puppets? You know, I don't know. It's sad. But if I was to guess, that's where we're leading. Because look at it. Now, a Joe Rogan is completely to be, separated from like a Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is just a clown. I mean, if you just take him at his word of his attorney when they defended the lawsuit against him, saying that who would believe what he says, that he is just not a newscaster, he's simply an entertainer. And he is baiting a mass of people that listen to him and just gives them stuff. And the more controversial and the more hateful that it is, the more people buy into it. Why? Because, we live in a very angry society. We're angry about everything. But at the end of the day, why are we so angry? We're so angry because we just don't get our freaking way. If we were to get our way, we won't be so angry. But we are. And then, the lines are divided. They're designed. And there will be those that are angry and those that feel like they have been oppressed or whatever they feel. And they're going to listen to a clown like Tucker Carlson. Joe Rogan is not a clown by any means. Joe Rogan is a serious person. And he's a man of integrity. And he has achieved the great American dream. And he's been able to take a platform that really a few years ago didn't even exist and parlayed it into a $100 million venture. I applaud that. Now, do I agree with every show that he has? No, I don't. But do I watch him or listen to him because I want to agree with everything that he says? Of course not. I learn more from those that I disagree with than from those that I agree. Because at least I go into something with an open mind, an open heart to learn. My godfather once says to me, son, in life, you can learn from a donkey. Anybody can learn from anybody. All you have to do is be willing to listen. We don't want to listen anymore. We want to be told what we want to hear. We want to be told, we want to have people reinforce our belief system. We don't want anyone challenging our belief system. And the minute that we do, that anyone does, then we just switch. We just knock that person out, turn that channel, and find one or media or whatever, however we get our information, and find the one that's going to agree with us. The one that's going to tell me what I want to hear. The one that's going to feed into my belief system. We don't want to grow. We want to be puppets. That's what we want to be. We want to be robots. And soon we are to be replaced by robots. We will be. And then it really doesn't matter because in all we are right now is a robot. We believe X, and we're going to find those social media platforms, or we find those news media platforms that feed that X. Because we don't want to expand our beliefs. We don't want to grow by being challenged. We just want to be a robot. We just want to be a cult member. I don't know what the hell we want to be. But definitely we don't want to be individual thinkers. People that have a brain to listen to something. We can learn from everybody's point of view. We don't have to agree with them. No one says that we have to agree with everything. Hey, listen, there's no one on this earth I love more than my father. And I'm here to tell you, I disagree with so many things that he said. My father was a great man. He was my idol. He was my role model. He died in my arms and I cried. And I cried for years, and it's been now 25 years and I still cry. But you know what? I come to realize that my idol was wrong in so many ways. My father cheated on my mom. My father used to make a joke when I was a young kid coming up, forming my mindset that to cheat, to have a mistress, is to be a real man. It's not. So my role model was my role model, but he was wrong in so many ways. But at the end of the day, I adore him. I didn't discard him because of the things that he believed or not. He was a product of his society. He was a product of the world that he grew up, developed, matured, and became an adult. But I value my father not because of everything that he believed, but I value my father because of the man of integrity that he was. A man that taught us value. That told us that when you say yes is yes, when you say no is no, that truth matters. That the most important thing you have on this earth is your word. I value my father for that. I respected my father for that. He was there by our side. I saw my father clean toilets after having been a millionaire for many years. Never complained. I saw my father refuse to take food stamps because he felt that anyone that took money from the government was poor would always remain poor. I saw my father point his finger at my chest when I was 10 years old and said, son, get up and help feed your family. That's the man that I loved. I didn't begin to hate him because he did not really, and because he disagreed with a lot of things in our life. He did not hate me. He was tremendously disappointed when he found out I was a drug dealer. But didn't hate me. Did not push me away. Let me know what he felt. And let me know that my lifestyle was not going to change his. Let me know that my money was not going to corrupt his. That he was happy in the $40,000 house. I mean, my whole dream, my life was to one day make so much money that I could buy my parents a nice house and a nice car. Then we really made it in the American dream. Now I had the money and I had whores living in mansions and driving beautiful, exotic cars. And my dad was living in the same $40,000 house he bought with the monies he earned working in a factory. But he was happy with that house. My dad died with a fake Cartier watch in his hand, but he was happy with that watch. My dad had an old Toyota, and he was happy with that car. I could have bought my parents anything in the world. But see, they didn't agree with the way I made my money. And they were not going to sacrifice their beliefs, their morality, their integrity by taking that dirty money. But nowhere ever did they make me feel like I was not their son, that I was not welcome in the house. The opposite. They expected me to come home, eat, to visit with them. They kept my room till the day my dad passed and my mother passed and the house was sold. So yeah, my father was my hero, but my hero was wrong. We need to go back to a time where we can have dialogue. We don't need monologue. Monologue doesn't help anyone develop. Doesn't create a better society. Doesn't teach us morals. Doesn't teach us anything. All it teaches, monologue does nothing but teach us hate. Monologue, you know where it belongs? In comedies. In a comedy show. A monologue. Or in Broadway, where you have a play that is a monologue. That's acceptable. But not in society. Not as a way of life. And if we are part of a monologue, we need to work hard at changing so that we can have dialogue with people we disagree with and learn from their point of view and learn why they believe what they believe. And just because we think it's stupid or don't agree with it, it's fine. That's not how we judge people. We should judge people for what type of human being they are. It is sad I lost my friend over the fact that he thought I was a communist. Or that I was a Democrat. Truth is, I'm not a Democrat or Republican anymore. I'm an independent. I should have always been an independent because simply I just should vote my conscience and my heart and vote those people that I agree with, that fit the morals, integrity, ethics that I believe I have, and not because of the political affiliation. At the end of the day, none of them are going to do nothing for me. You know, it's that simple. I exercise my right to vote because it is one of the greatest rights we are given as citizens. But not because at the end of the day that I believe any of them are going to do anything to change my life or my circumstances. My life, my circumstances are simply changed by the way I get up every day, the mindset I have, and how I bust my ass to provide for my family and be a better person and be a better human. And today, to provide for a better world, to provide a story that gives people hope, that there is redemption, that there is faith, that there is a God that forgives, that we are not defined by our past, that every choice we make becomes part of our story, but our story does not need to end in a bad way. If it started in a bad way, before we die, we still got the opportunity to make the choices that will give us a good story. So that is my message today. I side with Joe Rogan. They can disagree with Joe Rogan. They can express that disagreement, and they should have dialogue with Joe Rogan as to listen. We don't agree with what you have said or don't say, and come up with a solution that would really give peace to both people. Like Spotify. I believe they came up with the right solution. But to tell someone that they can say something because you disagree with it, that's communism. Think about it. Today, what they say disagrees with your views on vaccines. Tomorrow, it could be that what you believe disagrees with society's views on something, and they can lock you up. Dialogue. Two-way. You speak, I speak, we exchange ideas. At the end of the day, our friendship has not been impacted. Short of that what you believe is totally immoral, or short of what you believe is against everything that I believe a person of integrity, a human being, should be. But then if that's the case, you don't need to be having dialogue or monologue with that person. We should choose those that we are surrounded by. That's what we should do. But when we have chosen someone to be our friend, it means because they share the same values that we do, not the same beliefs that we do. My brother believes and loves Trump. I despise Trump. I used to be a big Trump fan. When he came off that elevator and said what he said about Mexicans, it killed me. Because I lived in Mexico, and they're good people, hardworking people. They're not drug dealers. They're not thieves. They don't come here to rape. Actually, they come here to do the work that most of us don't want to do. So and then I simply despise a person that gets up there and lies to my face all day long. I used to like Trump a lot because he was on the Howard Stern show and he would say the craziest things you ever imagined. So I thought, and I love his hotel. I stayed at his hotel in Vegas. You know why? Because they did not have a casino. And his hotels are first class. And I didn't have to go through the casino, which is full of smoke at the Wynn or any of them other places, to get to my room. So I loved his hotel in Vegas. I love his hotel in Chicago. My son played a tournament at the Doral. That he had right. But when he came as a person, and when it came the way that he bullied people and the way that he talked down to people, I just don't like him. But that doesn't make all my friends that don't like him my enemies. I didn't like, others in the Democratic Party. But didn't make those friends of mine that liked them my enemies. I had a very, very dear friend. He's passed now. Congressman Bob Garcia. Diehard Democrat, he and his wife, when I was a diehard Republican. And I worked in Washington with Republican members of Congress, and we did youth rallies and impacted communities. And we did great, great things. And Bob and I used to do the Congressional Bible Study together. I love that man. I consider him my father. I remember one time getting up at a big event and said, George is a great man. There's only one bad thing about George. He's a Republican. And that crowd was Republicans. He said it in jest. But never, not once did he try to convince me to become a Democrat or to tell me that I was an idiot for believing what I believed in. No, not the case. I saw him have as great friends in Congress that were Republicans as Democrats. But he believed in the democratic values. I disagree with some of them. But I loved that man then. I love his wife. I love them now. And I miss him dearly. We need to go back to a time when we can have dialogue. So, in closing, choose your friends. And when you have a good friend, don't lose them over monologue. Have dialogue. Learn from those that believe differently from you. That's how you will grow as a human being. When you don't agree with something, don't let it affect you. Just move on. And Joe Rogan, I still support him. I just wish to God that they were able to have a dialogue. And I'm sure that Joe Rogan would humble himself the way that he did and explain that, hey, I'm just wanting to have conversation with different people. And if I agree with one or the other, it's not because I belittle the ones that I don't agree with. So, my friends, pray for a world where our children will be able to have monologue, express different ideas, and not consider someone that believes differently their enemy. Be blessed.